Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Anandamatam Shri Chaitanya. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for the opportunity. Um, Welcome to the Saturday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Uh, so I was given the task of covering about 15-18 shlokas. I think I may not be able to do justice for that. There is so much wonderful nectar that Srila Prabhupada has in the purport. What I would do is I would probably not touch upon everything, but I will share from whatever little realization that I have so that we can talk through this. Obvious suggestion is go back and please take time, read Srila Prabhupada's purport to understand the topics better. Okay, so with that little background, let's start off the discussion. I'll not jump into the shloka right away. Let's see the flow of where we are sitting, because if you look back, and there are sometimes devotees ask this question to Srila Prabhupada. There's once this devotee asked this question saying, eternally, Krishna in Goloka is said to be in the Kaishora form. What would Mother Yashoda do if Krishna is in that youth boy kind of a state or a teen kind of a situation? What would Mother Yashoda do? There are other times where devotees ask a question saying that, oh well, if there is no sun, moon, no electricity, like it said in Bhagavad Gita, the time has no influence in the spiritual world. How does this Ashtakaliya Leela happen? How is the day split into multiple Leelas? So how are we saying that there is a devotee whose eternal responsibility is to give wonderful milk to Krishna every night when Krishna goes to sleep? But there's no influence of time. So how does this happen? Does anyone know what was the answer that Srila Prabhupada gave, or what is the answer that we need to understand? I would like to have an interactive session if possible.
You can please come again.
And devotees, if they can come on video, it will be nice. It's okay, it's not mandatory, but I like to see faces. Otherwise, it's anyway we are too distant from each other. So the question is,
Hare Krishna, Sadhu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Anukul Prabhu. Thank you for joining. The question that I asked is, if there are leelas that are happening across time slots, like the Ashtakalya Leela, or what does Mother Yashoda do when Krishna is in the Kaishora form, Kishori form rather than Krishna? So what is the work of Mother Yashoda? How do we understand this? What was the answer that Srila Prabhupada gave? Have you ever thought? Okay, so the answer to this is just go back there and figure it out. Okay, there's only so much that the Shastras can give. Go back there, you will actually know what's happening. So all of us who has questions about what is there in the spiritual world, we have to endeavor to go back. That said, then Krishna does all these pastimes when he comes here to actually give us a glimpse of that experience that is happening in the spiritual world. That's the topic that we are in today. We are going to talk from Canto 1, chapter 11, shlokas 21 onwards, 21 to 39. So just a little background for this, coming into this particular chapter. What really happened? So Krishna is now established Dvārakā. This is coming from the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So Krishna has established Dvārakā. And then we had Arjuna and Duryodhana coming and requesting Krishna to join their parties for the war, the Kurukshetra war. And obviously we know what happened. So Krishna joins as a advisor into the party of the Pandavas. So the war happens. The Pandavas eventually win the war, and then Yudhishthira is set up as the king And then Krishna says, now let me go back to Dvārakā. He spent a fairly good amount of time with the Pandavas at Hastinapur. The Dvārakavasis have missed Krishna all this while. When Krishna decides to go back, he boards into the chariot. So we had in a couple of chapters before this in Canto 1, Kunti Devi comes and prays to Krishna. My dear Krishna, can you please stay back for some more time? And then the prayers of Queen Kunti are so beautiful, right? So the mood in which she prays, saying that, look, everything is done. I don't have a purpose to live if you leave this place. So Krishna says, okay, why not? And then he stays back for some more time. After that, obviously, right after that, in a few days, we had this episode of Bhishma Dev leaving his body in the presence of Krishna. So just before he leaves his body, Bhishma Dev actually has a lot of advice, lot of suggestions that he actually is giving Yudhishthira, right? So we know that part. So this was the previous chapter. Now after Bhishma Dev passed away with all that advice given, now Krishna's purpose of coming, one of the purposes of coming, is to re-establish dharma. Now that he is personally given association to Yudhishthira, he is also already informed them what to do, and Yudhishthira is Dharmaraj. Bhishma Dev has very nicely given instructions. So Krishna felt it's now time for him to leave Hastinapur and enter into Dvārakā. So this was the background. Now he's decided to leave. He's taken permission. All those wonderful we have things that we have seen in the previous chapter, and here he's entering into Dvārakā. That's what we saw in the previous few shlokas. The way he is welcomed, like so. If we take the typical example of how the uh, politicians enter any place, right? So big carriage of things on their vehicle has all the sirens and everything. There are a few bikers in the front, then the car, then the security and everything. So Krishna, the Supreme Lord, when he enters, the senior acharyas actually explain it, saying that, look, why does Krishna need Garuda to go to places, or Narayan needs to travel in Garuda? Garuji, I mean, he can appear, disappear however he wants. Well, for devotees who actually know him, they love to see him with all his opulences when he enters. Okay, so the way he appears is so wonderful for the devotees. Now, when he entered this place, you can see how the Dvarakavasis, their life and soul is coming back after so many days. They are so eagerly waiting. So just a few shlokas back, you would have seen how they welcomed the Lord. Everyone was so neatly dressed. They had presents for the Lord, the flags, the garlands, the scents, the fruits, the beautiful flower decorations across the entire town, various cultural programs that were happening. So we saw all this. Okay. And if we can relate back, how what is our learning to this, we would have seen, okay, whenever the Lord comes on the Ratha during the Rath Yatra festival, this is how we need to actually act with. This is how we need to welcome the Lord. This should be our mood. Oh, the Supreme Lord is coming. And this is not entering Dwarka is not one off episode, right? So if you just go back and understand the mood, I mean, I took the example of Rath Yatra. We can see how the episode happens in Vrindavan, when they actually pull the Ratha or the chariot of Krishna and Baldev along with Subhadramai. Or if you look at how the Ayodhya Vasis welcome Lord Ram after the Vanvas, right? So the entire place was decorated. It's like welcoming the Lord into your heart, into your house, into his house. So that should be our mood as well when we are actually welcoming the Lord. So I mean, this is just an opportunity for all of us, right? So we had Janmashtami, the birthday boy was there. Tomorrow is Radhashtami. How should we appear in front of the Lord? Just one of the things that we can learn, right? So wonderfully does the devotees actually wear a new dress or very fresh dress. We can all say that we are tired with services, or we are tired with other things, we are busy, but the entire purpose circles around the fact that I want to act for the pleasure of the Lord, and this is the best way I can show the Lord that I'm so happy to receive him. And we will, through today's shlokas, through today's discussion, we'll actually see how they welcome. So we see how they welcome and how the Lord reciprocates in the same way. Okay, we saw the mood of each of these people, right? So Vrajavasis or the Ayodhyavasis, or in fact even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when there is Annavasara, when Lord Jagannath is not giving darshan, the separation is so unbearable for them. And imagine from that unbearable situation, Lord comes out. So with that little background, let's go into today's shlokas. I will share the screen from shloka 21 onwards. Um, in the interest of time, there is so much detail in this. I will try to read the translations, maybe cover one or two shlokas and some details from the purport. I would not necessarily read all the purports. Yeah, from 21 to 39 to cover today, in probably in the next 45 minutes or so. Okay, my screen is visible. Okay,
Yes, Prabhu.
thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so Krishna is welcomed. Now we are getting into the fact that how Krishna starts reciprocating with each of them. There are multiple topics in here today that we'll try to cover. One is how Krishna reciprocates. Then in the next set of topics, we'll talk about Lord Krishna's beauty, the festive beauty of the Lord. Then there are a few aspects of the Lord. We'll specifically pick up the aspect of how the devotee takes refuge in the lotus feet of the Lord. We'll talk about that. And then finally, we'll talk about how Krishna, after he enters, how does he meet with his parents? How does he deal with his queens? And how what is our complete takeaway? Okay. That's why I said there are quite a few topics. There are a lot of details in here, but we'll try to cover as much as we can. Okay. So Shloka 21, it talks about Lord Krishna, the personality of God, approached them, the devotees, and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all others who came to receive and welcome him. The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving assurances, and awarding benedictions, even to the lowest in rank. Okay, you can just see how the Lord reciprocates with each and every one of them in the right exchange vidhi. Okay, so the shloka actually talks about yatha vidhi. Right? Okay, the Lord duly honored everyone, properly greeted them in terms of their rank and their position. Okay, for elders, he's bowing down before them. For subordinates, he's greeting them, he's embracing his friends, he's shaking hands with acquaintances. Okay, he's looking and smiling at all the women folks who he can't go near to. Okay, for the younger people who are asking for his uh, uh, service or whatever it is, he's assuring them, and he's awarding benedictions to people who pray for. So he's a king here, right? So whatever Krishna does, he does it perfectly. That's one thing that we need to understand from the Lord. Saying he's perfection personified, right? So whatever he does it to the best that is ever possible. I mean, the superlative degree is best, and he's going to be the best of the best, right? So that's Krishna's position. So whenever we also see each of this, we have to look at what is it that I can learn. Okay, the Lord is going to treat me in a certain way. I think recently I was reading one of the messages from Guru Maharaj, Isolna Jayapatak Swami Guru Maharaj, and he said that till we are in a position, till we are in our uh, swarupa of knowing what is our eternal relationship with the Lord, we are always going to be in the dasya mode. Even that dasya mode, the reciprocation of the Lord is very, very visible. Depending on how you act with the Lord, there is always going to be a reciprocation. And this exchange is very, very beautiful. And you can see how this when he enters Dvārakā, right? So as soon as he's entering Dvārakā, he's dealing with each of them in their exact situation that they are, and everyone there is fully satisfied with the exchanges that they have with the Lord. This point is also very important, saying we are fully satisfied with the exchange that we get from the Lord. they are not like, oh, why is he hugging him? But why is he just smiling at me or just shaking hands with me? Or he's telling, hi, how are you? So they don't have that. Oh, the Lord looked at me. Okay, I can go on and start giving examples of Guru Maharaj when he visits here. Probably I'll see if there is time, then probably end of it, I can cover some of the exchanges that we have, right? So, but generally when Guru Maharaj is sitting on a platform and we are all sitting in front of him, just looking at him and through the class or through whatever is the function, if he has that little bit of glance at us, right? So he's having that eye contact with us. That moment is so blissful, and we are like, acha ho gaya, aaj ka din successful ho gaya, right? So that feeling that you have, that's for a moment's association with the pure Vaishnava. And here we are talking about the life and soul for all the Dvarkavasis, when the Lord has that yatha vidhi reciprocation to them with their rank and position. So this is how the Lord deals with each and every one of his devotees. And this is how we also need to understand when we enter the temple, when we are seeing senior Vaishnavas, immediately we bow down to them. We take their blessings. So again, what all we can learn from this situation, right? So try looking at Srila Prabhupada's purport and you will actually understand. The next set of verses from verse 23, 24, let's move on to 23. It's a continuation of what we just discussed. Then the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praise the Lord, others also praise the glories of the Lord. Typically, how we actually should welcome the Lord. Okay. When Lord Krishna passed over the public roads, all the ladies from the respectable families of Dvārakā went up to the roofs of their palaces just to have a look at the Lord. They considered this to be the greatest festival. I'll continue with the next sloka and then we can discuss. The inhabitants of Dvārakā were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty, the infallible Lord, yet they were never satiated. Okay, beautiful shloka here. Nityam nirikshamanan yad api dvarakaukasaam na vitrupyanti hi drashah shriyo dhamangam achyutam. So we understand this word satiated. So we'll take a simple example of what is satiation, right? So uh, let's say that I like jamuns. Okay, I eat one, I eat two, I eat three. Then what do we say? "Tegatta hai, I can't take anymore." I like, I used to like it. We become satiated with it. We become, okay, I don't want anymore. But the beauty of the Lord is so wonderful that you can never become satiated. You will never be satisfied. In fact, forget being satiated. And what are we talking here? The inhabitants of Dwarka were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty. Many times when we are at temple, we have this wonderful darshan of the Lord, of Jagannath, and then uh, I you can understand the mood is different for devotees who are personally serving him or doing the dressing service. Typically, all the Matajis, they actually look, they come out of, they look at, oh, this was nice, the crown is nice today, or the dress is so beautiful. Prabhuji is look at the Lord and say, okay, what is the prayer I should sell? Okay, this is, oh, I'm done. Now let me go back to associating with devotees. Okay, the typical reciprocation that we have, right? So, but the Lord is so beautiful that every moment the Dvarakavasis are even after having association, they still want to look at the Lord. And everywhere there is place, right? So in the previous shloka, where the Lord is passing, so not everyone can come in front of the Lord, whatever their customs are, the cultures are there. So they are going to the rooftops and they're having a look at the Lord. Okay, and how are they treating this whole thing? This is considered to be the greatest festival for them. They are just enjoying the Lord. Now, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, again, please go and read all the purports. I'm not doing justice, we're not covering the purports. But Srila Prabhupada mentions about how the Lord is so merciful to us that he comes in the Archa Vigraha form. Right? So when the Lord comes in, we need to understand that the Vigraha of the Lord is non-different from the Lord. So if we really build that connect, we'll understand the Lord is actually reciprocating. There are devotees who come out, come have darshan of the Lord and say, I mean, even Srila Prabhupada in one of the instances saying, maybe the Lord is not very happy today. Looks like the prasadam that was served to the Lord was not complete. So he actually goes to the pujari and says, "Are you taking care of the Lord correctly? Are you doing all the things that are required for the deities to be happy?" Looks like the deities are extremely happy today. The deities are extremely happy with the dress that was given to them, or the deities are extremely happy with the service that's being provided. So Prabhupada actually goes and appreciates the pujaris who do the service. How do the pure Vaishnavas actually understand the Archa Vigraha is not different from the Lord? That's because they build that connect with that Lord, with the Lord, and the Lord actually reciprocates in the same way. We have many instances if we go to Mayapur, how Rajapur Jagannath actually interacts or deals with the pujaris, with the devotees, with the with acharyas. So there are so many examples of how the acharyas actually went through this. What is our takeaway? Uh, Slowly but surely build that connect. There was this example uh, that stuck to me long back when I was new into the Krishna consciousness world, right? So one of the things was we used to attend classes at office, and we used to have Jagannath photo on the screen, on the laptop screen. This is from the old temple. I'm talking about 2008, 9, long back. And one of the tests was you have a look at the Lord for about 30 seconds and close your eyes. The amount of time the Lord stays in your heart, I mean, you'll be able to see the image, right? So typically it can be a photo, it can be on the screen, it can be when you come to the temple. The amount of time the Lord, you can see the Lord in your heart. That's the amount of connect that you have established. I've never been successful in establishing a longer connect, but the example is really true. There are a lot of times when you go to the temple, you will see devotees actually, typically the Sri Vaishnava temples or the old temples that we go in, we are standing in a queue, or we are standing where the pujari comes and gives you the arti plate. A lot of people actually fold their hands and close their eyes and are doing something. Okay. Now, those few seconds that you get is not the time you close your eyes, but you actually look at the Lord, the person right there who is who is actually giving you the darshan. He is the seer, right? We are the seen. So he's seeing us. So, but the Acharya is also mentioned that when a devotee is actually closing his eyes in front of the Lord, do not disturb him. The Lord is also reciprocating from inside. The devotee is very happy. He's seen the Lord so much that now the Lord is actually captured within his heart. Right. So that is also a possibility. So we never understand the mood of the devotee, so we should never try to correct them. I'm saying that if you are actually seeing the Lord, it's okay, just close your eyes and enjoy. Okay. So look at the Lord, uh, whatever you can. And the Dvārakavasis are extremely elevated personalities. They are all eternal associates of the Lord. So how does the Lord? They are never, satiated with the reciprocation that the Lord gives. Okay, moving on. The shloka is very nice. We'll spend a couple of minutes here. Uh, okay, the Lord's chest is the abode of the goddesses of fortune. His moon-like face is the drinking vessel for eyes which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are the resting places for the administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge of pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subject except his lordship. Now there are four things here, right? So these four things are very clearly visible for us. It's Shreyo Nivaso Yashoraha, right? The chest is the abode of Lakshmi. The face is the drinking vessel of the eyes. The arms are the resting place for the demigods. Finally, Sharanganam Padambujam, refuge for the pure devotee. What is it? The lotus feet of the Lord. Now, this is very important. Now, there are two things, right? So, one, we are taking refuge of the Lord's lotus feet here. Now, who is the person who is taking refuge, who is actually situated on the lotus feet, a person who never talks or thinks of any subject except his lordship. Um, well, so the lesson that we can learn here as a pure devotee is, look, uh, as practicing devotees, is that many a times we feel that the discussions that happen in the temple also is lot lot more material in nature. Okay, depending on the false identification that we have, you know, the amount of discussion happens through material stuff. Okay, the more material we are, the matter is more discussed, and more sadhana focused we are, the spiritual details are more discussed. Okay, it could be any of the sevas that we are doing. In that seva, we need to understand, is the discussion that we are doing or spiritually connected or materially connected. And again, many a times we justify ourselves saying that the activity that I'm doing is spiritual in nature. Oh, I'm actually talking about a devotee. I'm talking about shopping something in the temple. No, but when you are in front of the Lord, when you are in association of devotees, the subject matter should ideally be on things that we are getting connected to the Lord. Repeating myself, the subject matters will be connected to the Lord depending on how much time and effort we put in reading and hearing from Srila Prabhupada. The more we read from Srila Prabhupada's books, right? So we'll probably touch upon that in a couple of shlokas later as well. The more we read from Srila Prabhupada's book, you will understand that there are so many more things for me to know every time we read Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, all our senior acharyas actually have shown it. When I keep going back to my Guru Maharaj. So yesterday he said, I finished this particular chapter. I finished chapter 5 in 6th canto. I'm moving on. And he's read Srimad Bhagavatam so many times, and he's doing his Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. So, I mean, we cannot tell at any point that we are done with reading Srila Prabhupada's books. It could be as simple as reading Srila Prabhupada's book as Bhagavad Gita. We might say that, okay, I've read it 8 times, 10 times. Oh, cover to cover, I've read it 3 times for my initiation. No, but there's so much more. And why am I saying this is because the more you read and hear from Srila Prabhupada, the more you will have subjects to talk about, which are going to be about the Lord, about Guru's Sadhu Shastra, and not about things that are more materialistic nature. Or someone recently came back and said that, oh, uh, how true is it, or how should we take about this thing on, Mataji's being Guru or giving initiation? I have no idea. The GBC will take care of it. That's not even a subject matter that's I'm capable of discussing. Let's talk about things that are there in Srila Prabhupada's books. Let's talk about the beauty of the Lord. Let's talk about the details that are there. That talk about the instructions that are given, right, from Kunti Devi's prayers to what is Kapila Dev saying, what is Prahlad Maharaj saying. There's so many details that we can take, and all these discussions will come only if you actually spend time reading the books of Srila Prabhupada, purports of Srila Prabhupada, which I'm not doing so, unfortunately. But please go back and read the purports. And what does that mean once we are in a position that we always sing or talk about the subject matters connected to the Lord, then we will actually be able to take the shelter, or we'll be able to take the refuge of the lotus feet of the Lord. So wherever there is false identification, matter is discussed more. Never mind if it's spiritual life or sadhana life. Okay, let's move on. Shloka 27 onwards, this actually talks about the opulences that the Lord actually has, the way the pomp in which he's welcome, right? So, as the Lord passed along the public roads of Dvārakā, his head was protected by the sunshine, from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircles, and showers of flowers fell upon the road. His yellow garments and garlands of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud were surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. Um, this is so poetic, right? Just look at the last part of it. It's simultaneously sun, moon, lightning, and rainbow. Okay. we could never have a situation that all these four are together, right? The sun and the moon, the sun's brightness will actually cover the moon. We do not have a situation where the lightning and rainbow can go together. When there's lightning, the rainbows do not appear. And when it is settled down, when the rainbows are visible, the lightning is not. Okay. So like Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the very first line, this simultaneous thing doesn't happen. But the Lord's beauty is uh, uh, what do you call it? Just sum total of all contradictions. Whatever cannot happen together, that also can happen with the Lord. Okay, so he's so beautifully taken care of, so wonderfully present there, and you can just see how the poem in the poem that he is entering. Okay, so moving on, let's see how he enters the house. Right, so now he's finished. He's come through the roads. People have been watching him on the road. People are carrying umbrella for him. They're fanning him. Their devotees standing from the rooftops or looking at the Lord, and the Lord has reciprocated with all of them. Now he's getting into a personal arena. Okay, after entering the house of his father, he was embraced by his mother's present, and the Lord offered his obeisances unto them by placing his head at their feet. The mothers were headed by Devaki, his real mother. The Supreme Lord, whenever he does any of the Leelas, he actually acts it perfectly. We actually saw that. Now, his supreme position is different. Even when he went to Hastinapur, the way he dealt with all the five Pandava brothers, right? So Pandu, sons of Pandu, was so wonderful, right? So he goes and takes blessings from Yudhishthira Maharaj. He goes and hugs Arjuna. He goes and blesses Nakul and Sahadev. You know, uh, the seniors, same aged, the juniors. So that's how he dealt. So here also, as soon as he enters, his father is there, Vasudev. So he goes and pays respect. So Vasudev, as we know, had many queens. So all of them were mothers of Krishna. So he goes and takes blessings from all of them. Obviously headed by Devaki. The mothers, after embracing their son, sat him on their laps. Due to pure affection, milk sprang from their breasts. They were overwhelmed with delight, and the tears from their eyes wetted the Lord. It's very difficult for us to understand. This is a pretty old person who's coming, right? So he's got children, and in many cases he's got grandchildren. That's what we understand when we see the fight that's happening in Hastinapur. And here, each of their mothers are asking the Lord to sit on their laps, okay, wetting him by the tears that are pouring from their eyes, right? So this is the same mood of the Lord that's there in Vrindavan as well, but very difficult to understand. In Vrindavan, though, we have heard when the Lord comes back from grazing, this situation actually happens, where Yashodamai is actually hugging him. She's crying. The milk is coming from her breast, and it's just so wonderful. Okay. The puppet also talks about when Lord Krishna was at Vrindavan, even the cows would become moistened by affection towards him. We have this Leela of uh, the Brahma Vimochan Leela, where Brahma actually takes away all the covered boys in the calves. Krishna actually expands. And when Krishna expands, he actually becomes the son of all the cows, and the covered boy, the son of all the mothers in Vrindavan, all the senior gopis and all the cows. And as soon as they see Krishna, automatically the cows would give milk. So it is said that Vrindavan, the land of Raja, the land of Vrindavan where they were there, that place was always moist, always wet because of the milk that used to come. And this was automatic. It was automatic. Okay. Very difficult for us to actually connect back saying that, oh, really, such things can happen with the broken tar roads, and when water is coming today, half of Bangalore is non-movable, and we are talking about the entire place is wet with milk. How does that really happen, right? So that is the mood of Vrindavan. That's the mood of Dvārakā that we are seeing in here right now. Okay, so he's met his mothers. The reciprocation with his mothers was beautiful. So he's done there the dealings, and then his father, he's taken the blessings. Now he moves on. So obviously the next set of people are waiting for him. Shloka 30 onwards, In the next 5 to 6 shlokas, we will see obviously the devotees who are waiting for him. Now, little bit of background that basically comes from our 10th canto again, when Narad Muni actually visits Dvārakā. So how many wives does Krishna have? 16,108, and he's got 10 sons and a daughter from each of these wives, and he's got 16,108 palaces for each of them to stay. And obviously he's got his court. When he goes to court, there's one Krishna, but when he enters the palaces, Krishna expands himself into 16,108 and enters into each of these palaces. And Narad Muni wants to know what is Krishna doing in each of these palaces. So in each and every palace, Krishna behaves as an absolutely perfect grihastha. He's playing with his children, he's cooking with his wife, he's having prasadam, he's sometimes serving the queen, sometimes the queen is serving him. And Narad Muni is so surprising that wow, Krishna does so many activities. Now, those queens, those children who have always had association of Krishna have suddenly lost Krishna for a few days or a few months during this Hastinapur war. So, what is their mood? How are they waiting for Krishna? That's what we'll see in the next set of shlokas. Thereafter, the Lord entered his palaces, which were perfect to the fullest extent. His wives lived in them, and they numbered over 16,000. The queens of Lord Shri Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seats and meditations. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about coyly. We'll see what's there in the next purport. Okay, we'll cover the first two. We'll come back to the third one. Okay, so here, so we saw that the Lord is entering. Each of them is eagerly waiting for the Lord. As soon as the Lord entered, so whatever they were doing, they immediately got up and they were covering their face. They are very shy, and the feeling that they are rejoiced from within, right? So within their minds, they are they are so happy that their husband is here. No, the inseparable ecstasy was so strong that the queens who were shy first embraced the Lord in their innermost recesses of their heart. Then they embraced him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace him, which is equal to personal embracing. But, O chief amongst the Bhrigus, though they tried to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears. So it's very nicely put in here. Um, Again, modern day we may not be able to understand what's going on here. Why? I mean, is it really so serious? But the queens, when they see affectionate queens, they had so many children, so it's not that newly married or whatever. So as soon as they see all the Lakshmi Devis, right? All of these are Lakshmi Devis. First, let's get it right. So he's meeting with all the queens who are Lakshmi Devis, Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevyaman, right? So that Govinda, that Adi Purusha is come there. Okay, so they are following all the social customs. They're shy, they're covering their faces, but the feeling is something that they cannot hide. So the shy queens send their sons to embrace the Lord. Okay, now the children are an expansions directly of their mother, right? So mother and father, but in this case, the mother is sending them. Okay, so what do we see? Uh, they embraced him in their mind, then they visually they sing okay, and then finally they send the Lord. Now, what is something that we can learn from this? It's very simple. See, many a times, there are uh, very senior Vaishnavas who are probably doing a certain seva, and you're like, wow, they're cooking for the Lord. Wish I could also cook for the Lord. I could also trust the Lord. I could also do this abhishekam. I could also do the arti. You can all do this, mentally you can prepare yourself for this. Mentally do this. Okay, it's not that when given a choice, we given a chance to do the service, you say, no, mentally I'm doing. No, I'm not saying about that. I'm just saying whenever it's possible, whenever you want to actually do a certain seva for the Lord and you do not have that opportunity, don't feel bad. You can actually mentally offer something to the Lord. We see how the Lord actually accepts that, right? So in Jagannath Puri, there was this particular uh, person who actually cooks this kaja, and he wanted to offer. He was a Mohammedan, and the pujari said, no, you cannot offer to the Lord. It's not correct. And then the Lord accepted it. That's why the name is kaja. You don't even have to, offer it the exact way of giving a bhoga offering to the Lord. Khaja, it just cooks, shown to the Lord, and that's you go eat it. Like khaja, when you just prepare, the Lord is accepting. So mentally, that person wanted to offer it to the Lord accepts it, and that's what we can also learn, right? So we don't need to actually say that, oh, I'm not getting a particular seva, I'm not getting this to do, I'm not getting that to do. Plan it, do it, and offer it to the Lord, and as much as you can mentally, and try keep practicing it at home, whatever to the best extent you can. If you're good at kirtan, if you're good at something, not getting a chance, go actually do it in front of the Lord. Tell the Guru Parampara, tell your spiritual master, tell Srila Prabhupada, and the day you're qualified for the service, the Lord will keep you in the service. Okay. And there is another thing also that we need to understand here. Another thing that is pretty important, saying, how do we know that the Lord is accepting our service? I might be given a certain service to do, but the service is for the pleasure of the Lord. Sometimes I become proud of that service. Sometimes it looks like I've done the service, uh, without even bothering about how the service happened. I'm asked to do this particular service. Okay, I'm asked to take care of book BBT counter. I'm going to stand there. Whoever is coming, then I'll give the books. Is that service good enough, or I have put in all the effort and the Lord has accepted the service? How will I know my service has been successful, or my endeavor for the service has been successful? It's very, very simple. This test is very simple. um, your service is successful, that means the Lord has accepted the service if you continue to get service. That's all. It's a very simple test. Okay, I've done a particular service, the Lord is happy with the service, or the Guru Parampara is happy with the service, you'll continue to get service. You may not get the same service. You may not get the same service. You may be taking care of the book counter this year. Next year, you may be asked to take care of the chapel counter. That doesn't mean you've got degraded service. Or next year, you might be asked to do a DT service. But you will continue to get the service. And the day you're not getting the service, that if you understand that, okay, maybe I'm not ready for this service, or you should understand, maybe I did an offense in my previous service. Maybe the Lord was not happy. Maybe the Vaishnavas were not happy. Maybe the Acharyas were not happy. My service is gone. Go and pray. And obviously, the person we could pray for, obviously Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Go pray to Nityanand Prabhu. Go pray to Balramji. Since some more, give me the strength to continue the service properly. Keep me in the service. So many times I've just deviated, but that's what we learn here, saying that, look, I've got a service to do. Let me do it to the best of my capacity. If it's not happening, if my service is not successful, because I think I had a success criteria for, I should do 50 books today. Oh, I should do my Bhakti Viksha should expand to 5 Bhakti Vikshas by the end of the, because I had a success criteria in mind. If that does not happen, that's okay. Is the Lord happy? That means you will continue to get your service. Your Bhakti Viksha will still continue to happen. Your book distribution will continue to happen. Your cooking service will continue to happen, either at home or the temple, but your services will continue. Till then, you can mentally pray for the services and keep going. Okay. Although Lord Shri Krishna was constantly by their sides, as well as exclusively alone, his feet appeared to them to be newer and newer. The goddesses of fortune, although by nature always restless and moving, Chanchala, could not quit the Lord's feet. So, what women can be detached from those feet, having once taken shelter of them? So you can understand there are two things, right? So now we have seen how for the Dvārakavasis, we said they missed the Lord has come back and everything. Here also it says Lord Krishna was constantly by their side. Okay, so when he's with them, he's with them. When he's not with them, that Vipralamba Bhav is becoming even more closer for them. So they are never away from the Lord. The Lord is always with them.
ईश्वरः
Hare Krishna.
आज्ञा इह ईश्वरः इह आज्ञा है यह ये है
Okay. Sorry. Mataji, sorry, I muted you. If there are questions, please unmute yourself. So like I was mentioning, right? So even though they're constantly in association of the Lord, you never get satiated. We saw previously. That means what you actually get newer and newer taste. I was just mentioning, you keep reading Srila Prabhupada's book. Every day there's newer and newer learning. When you're serving, there are newer and newer taste that you get because there's more and more reciprocation. There's more and more reciprocation. The more and more you continue to learn. Actually, our Acharya says, Nava Nava Rasa, right? So every time there is a newer taste that you actually get. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos, so sparks of fire. Right, so the entire war, he himself did not actually go participate in the war as to kill people. Right, so he had told he will not take the weapons, but that's because he wanted things to happen on their own course, and he just influences, right? Just that he takes care of the spark, the rest of it, the fire automatically happens, right? And that's the purpose of the Lord's visit. So why did the Lord come to Dvārakā? We saw that he re-established dharma. Here, how does he re-establish dharma? He takes care of, takes care of devotees, annihilates the demons. We all know that. Fourth chapter shloka from Bhagavad Gita, right? Yada yada hi dharmasya. So he's come, he's taken care of situations. So that's what he is done. Okay. Now the Supreme Personality of God, Shri Kṛṣṇa, out of his costless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst competent women as if he was engaging in mundane affairs. Again, this mundane affairs piece, many times people get it wrong, right? So there are a lot of people who actually talk about how the Lord's activities here are very mundane in nature, and the Lord very clearly says such. These are all mudas. These are all fools. Okay. The bhava of being together with the Lord and being in separation with the Lord we have seen, and all these are happening with the internal potency of the Lord. What does it mean by yoga maya potency or internal potency? It's very, very nice to understand. See, all of us know the Lord is all knowing. Correct? The Lord knows everything. Correct? At least so much we know. Now, if the Lord knows everything, what is the fun the Lord will have? Getting the question? If the Lord knows that, okay, my child, so what surprises you? So, for example, my son comes and gives me some gift in the morning, or someday saying, I made this card for you for your birthday. I'm like, wow, this is very nice. Thank you for this. Correct? Or when you buy something for your spouse, you go buy something and give it to your spouse, and she's like very happy. I bought a new dress for you or an earring for you or whatever. Because there is an element of surprise there. There's a moment of something that is beyond what is regular or what is expected. No, in case of the Lord, he is all knowing. He is not going to get surprised. So you make Chappan Bhog for him. He knows that what are the 56 items that you're going to make. What gives pleasure to the Lord? Okay. So the answer to this question is very simple. The Lord is all knowing, but the Lord does not use his all knowing capacity to always to know. That means Yogamaya creates these situations wherein she ensures that the Lord does not know everything at all times. So he goes through an experience. When actually he's standing on the foot of Kalia and Kalia is like, whoa, what next? That is automatic. That's instantaneous. That's not planned. That's not planned. So once it said in Dvārakā, the Lord was crossing and he sees a crystal and he sees the reflection of himself on the crystal. Then he stands there and he's staring at the crystal for a moment and he's like, whoa, such a beautiful body. And he's just waiting there. And he's like, what am I doing? I am getting attracted to my own body. I mean, I'm bewildered by my own beauty. So this happens with the Lord, right? So when Satyabhama fights with the Lord. That's not that Lord knows that, okay, she's going to fight with me today. Right? So many times we also know the spouse is going to fight with me today. I'm prepared for it. The Lord is also prepared, but he doesn't know how is the reaction going to come. Or when he's talking to Rukmini Devi and says, you should have got married to Shishupal. You unfortunately got married to me. And Rukmini Devi looks at the Lord and she immediately faints. Like, "Ye kya hua?" Right? She was supposed to, cry, shout, fight. That's what was the reaction expected. She fainted. Lord actually goes through this. But none of this are mundane in nature. None of these are material by nature. All these are transcendental in nature. And we can understand all these are happening by the internal potency of the Lord, the Yogamaya potency of the Lord. And when we surrender to the Lord, the activities, the influence of Maya that's happening in our lives will also be Yogamaya potency. And this one I'm talking about pure devotees. We are probably not there in that stage. At least I'm not there. But we can understand that depending on our interaction, depending on our reciprocation with the Lord equally reciprocates. And the amount of time that we are in Krishna consciousness, that's the amount of time we are taken care by the internal potency. The more material we are, the Mahamaya potency is anyway there to take care of us or to run our lives. But it's not the case with the Lord. The Lord is always there. Who doesn't accept? You will see that in the coming shlokas. Okay, this is very nice. Although the queen's beautiful smiles and fruitive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. Oh, it's such a wonderful point. Is the Lord not attracted to the queens or the gopis or his children? He is attracted, but he doesn't lose his control. Okay, he doesn't lose his senses. What does it mean, right? Now, who should I understand this? This one we have discussed in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the very beginning, when Parasar Muni talks about the six opulences of the Lord. What is the sixth opulence? It's full of renunciation. Correct? Now we have heard there, oh, Lord is fully renounced. What does it mean? It is answered in this particular shloka. The full of renunciation is when you have everything at your disposal, and you're not attached to it. You're not agitated. You're not, proud of that situation. That is the situation of renunciation. Renunciation is not that I don't have anything, so I will renounce everything. You don't have anything. What will you renounce? In fact, when a person actually talks about renunciation, I'm going to renounce everything, and I'm going to stay. What are you renouncing? Nothing belongs to you. Even this body doesn't belong to you. You're going to lose it if you like it or not. The body is going to leave you and go. What are you renouncing? Your wealth, your family, your designations. Anyway, even if you're the president of USA, after 4 years term into 2 terms, you're asked to get out of that place. Only as long as you're in the body, connected to that body, you have something that you feel is valuable. And after that, you like it or not, you're going to get away from it, right? All our positions, everything that we have got connected, everything is all temporary. If we understand that, it's easy for us. And here the Supreme Lord has got everything for him and he's fully renounced. He's fully not agitated by it. Amrish Maharaj, typical example, right? So why is Amrish Maharaj so glorious? Because he had everything at his disposal, and then he waited for 1 year for Durvas Muni to come back. He's like, I'm not going to use any of these things. And whatever I'm going to use it in the service of the Lord. Right? My feet to go to the dham, my hands to serve the Lord, my eyes to see the beauty of the Lord. Whatever I have, I will use it in the service of the Lord. This is what should be our takeaway. What is the Lord's situation? We can obviously see here. So we don't need to worry. The Lord is obviously he's full of renunciation. So he's never going to be affected by any material qualities. And why is it important for us? For a person who is not going to be agitated by any material things, it is good for us to take shelter of. That's the person that we need to take shelter of, right? And that's what we actually see. Oh, okay, our spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada, they have so much, and yet they use it only for the service of the Lord. We just saw devotees always use everything by everything for talking about every amount of time that they are discussing about the pastimes of the Lord. Here it's the same thing. Everything that I have, I need to use it in the service of the Lord, and that is a person I need to take shelter of. That's a person I need to take guidance from. So many times devotees, there is this typical example that we keep hearing. Oh, there is this. Uh, there is a church wherein the father is actually giving a sermon, and then one person goes to the father saying that I'm addicted to smoking. So can uh, you know can I continue to smoke? Is it wrong if I smoke um, during the sermon or whatever? So he says, no, that's extremely wrong. You cannot do this activity. Okay. The other way around, he's advised. Oh, the father asked me not to smoke. No, don't worry about that. What did you ask? Well, I told that I have this addiction to smoking. So what should I do? Just go to the father and tell him that. Oh, can I remember the Lord when I'm smoking? So he goes to the father and asks, can I remember the Lord when I'm smoking? Father, of course, you should remember the Lord always. Now they take it as a permission for him to smoke. Right, so he didn't get the permission to smoke. Now he's got the permission because the question was reversed. Many times when we go seek advices from senior Vaishnavas, we twist our questions to the answer that we want. We are very careful. No, we are so smart that we think, oh, no one will understand our mood, and that's when we need to understand the spiritual master can see us inside out. He can see right through us. Many times when we are sitting right in front of our Guru Maharaj, he's looking at our eyes, right? I saw it. So that moment is so blissful. And that moment you realize that, oh, he knows exactly what's there in my heart. Oh no. All our anarthas are right in front of him, right open there. And then he gives a smile to you and says that continue your service. And that's the blessing that you've got. He knows that you're contaminated to the core, and then continue your service. And that's the blessing that we have, and we should be so happy that we have got that blessing. Okay, so here is the Lord unaffected, right? The common materialistic conditioned souls speculate that the Lord is one of them. Out of their ignorance, they think that the Lord is affected by matter, although he is unaffected. We just discussed this, right? So um, the Lord is way beyond this. There is no comparison of the Lord's position to whatever we can, right? So this is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. We are just concluding the chapter. So this is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He's not affected by the material qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. Okay, what we get, we take shelter of the Lord. We're not affected by material qualities. Many times we may be in a position wherein we are going to talk something spiritual to others, and if you are not able to follow, if you are not in a position to follow that, then we need to take shelter of the Lord, saying that I'm not able to follow such a thing. So please bless me, or please give me a solution. Please guide me. Okay, and the Lord will reciprocate accordingly. I'll give a simple example, right? So there was one Babaji in a village, and all the village people would go to him with their problems, and the Babaji would give them different solutions. There's one mother who actually goes to the Babaji. She takes her little son, a 10-year-old son. She says, "Oh, my son is addicted to eating sweets." Okay, so the Babaji says, very nice. I will talk to him. Can you please give him some suggestion? Talk to him. Give me some guidance as what to do. So Babaji says, come back after exactly 1 month. She says, no advice, nothing. He says, come back exactly 1 month. I'll find a solution for you. So she comes back after 1 month to that guru, and she says, the same problem continues. He's still always looking for sweets and sugar to eat. So please give him some advice. The Babaji calls the little boy. He says, eating sweets and sugar is not very good for your health. It's not good for your teeth. Stop eating. And he says, the boy, you can go. The mother is like, what? This is all? This one you could have told 1 month back. You made me wait for 1 month. Now you're asking. I mean, after 1 month, you're telling the same thing. Stop eating. You could have told 1 month back. The Babaji replies, well, 1 month back, I was also addicted to eating sweets. Now, in the last 1 month since you bought him, I controlled eating. I avoided eating sweets. And now, after 1 month, because I'm able to avoid, I can actually tell him to stop. Okay. Why am I saying this? Is many times we feel that when we give suggestions to others, advices to others, oh, you know what? Prabhupada says 20 years a person attends Mangalarti daily, then Mayadevi will not touch him. You will definitely go back to God. You should also attend Mangalarti every day. When you actually give out this kind of suggestion to someone else, right? If I am not following, then what is the value of the suggestion that I'm giving? So what I'm saying is, if you have material disqualifications, then we just say, okay, according to Shastra, according to Guru, according to Sadhus, this is the answer, not my answer. Only if you're able to follow, you should be able to tell, oh, you know what, you should try this particular thing. And that one you can do only if you're taken shelter of the Lord and are able to avoid such a such situation. Oh, you know what? Becoming angry is one of the anarthas. You should not become angry. Kama, Krodha, Moha, all this we should get out of it. And 2 minutes later, you're shouting at another person. You're shouting at an auto wala. You're shouting at the sabji wala. What is the value of you telling this, right? So we should be praying at every moment, saying, I also have anarthas. If I'm actually given a service to actually talk about this to someone else, I should also avoid doing those activities. It's easy for us to, as a devotee, tell others to stop eating meat because we know, yeah, eating meat is something that we are able to renounce. Okay, well, eating chocolates also. Chocolates, Prabhu, sometimes we offer and eat. So that's exactly what's the position, right? So we know there are certain anarthas we are not able to get out of. So we try to continue to keep praying, and the more pure you become, the more under the shelter of the Lord you become, the more influence of material qualities are away from you. It will automatically happen. In the initial days of when we all started, all of us would have gone through this. Initial days, it was very easy to renounce stuff, very easy to follow, waking up early or chanting more sincerely. As we become senior, in the sense that as we spend more time, we are not senior by that sense, but as we spend more time in Krishna consciousness, it looks like ye to chalta hai. Oh, they are also doing, we'll also do. No one is watching us. We take it for granted. We take that that spike that we have in Krishna consciousness of renouncing stuff and adding on stuff, or daily chanting, daily reading, daily Mangalarti. We keep adding a few things, and then there is a stagnation point. I can do only so much. Oh, this is enough. Oh, I'm doing so much. Compared to 90% other people, I'm probably doing better. We always compare ourselves with the lower ranked people, saying I'm better. There are always people, oh, these are exceptions. Ramanujacharya can go and preach to the whole world. Why will I do? We start telling that people are doing better. They are outliers. They don't follow, and I am able to follow. So I am standing where I am. So this is a simple test for each one of us, irrespective of the amount of time that we have spent in Krishna consciousness, irrespective of amount of time that we have spent doing different various services. Look at how we have improved in the last 6 months, 1 year, 6 weeks, whatever is the number. Look at, has there been an improvement in what I have done? And I see my Guru Maharaj actually doing it. He, in his Vyas Puja offering to Srila Prabhupada, he talks about he actually starting Bhakti Vaibhav course, Bhakti Shastri courses. He's encouraging others to do it. That means he wants all of us to improve, and there is always a situation that we can improve. Otherwise we become stagnated just because we have a certain position that we are very comfortable with, right? Oh, people are respecting, I'm able to chant, I'm able to do this, I'm able to do that. Oh, I'm also spiritual, and when I wear dhoti, kurta and tilak, then I behave very nicely. It is about what you do when you're not wearing all this, when no one is watching, in darkness. What is your quality. And if you're not completely satisfied with your quality, you are the best judge. You introspect, and if you feel that there is a gap, go take shelter of the Lord more and more, more and more. We should always be in the shelter of the Lord as much as possible. I know there are going to be exceptions. Excuses, don't give excuses for yourself, because we are all very smart in our excuses. This is the last shloka. We'll then go to Q&A if anyone has any questions. The simple and delicate women truly thought that Lord Shri Krishna, their beloved husband, followed them and was dominated by them. They were unaware of the extent of the glories of their husband, as the atheists are unaware of him as the supreme controller. It's such a contradicting analogy that's given, right? So the awareness or the unawareness of the queens of Dvārakā or the Vrajvasis being compared to the atheists who do not know the supreme position of the Lord. It's such a beautiful thing here, right? So the entire Vrajvasis, they love Krishna as their son, as their beloved, as their senior, whatever it is, as the caretaker of their cows and calves and all that. Same thing here, right? So he's looked at as a king, as a beloved husband, whatever, but not as the supreme Lord. And Lord Krishna actually loves this position. He loves this position because when you look at Bhagavad Gita, we would have discussed this 11th chapter when Krishna shows his Vishwarupa to Arjuna, and Arjuna then pays obeisances and says, "Wow, you are the supreme personality of God." He shows the 400 form, and be happy with that position. He's like, my relationship with Arjuna. Hare Krishna, I'm still audible. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, you are audible.
Sorry, something happened. My screen just turned off. Thank you. My screen is still shared, right?
We are not able to see the slide actually. The screen. Now it is there.
Okay. Sorry. Looks like over ecstasy. It just turned off itself. Okay. Sorry. Now, like I was talking, right? So Krishna did not like Arjuna's position of suddenly downgrading himself from being the Sakha or the friend of Krishna to a situation where he's worshipping Krishna with awe and reverence. And that is the Yogamaya that is covering the devotees, saying that, look, Krishna is my beloved, Krishna is my husband, Krishna is my so and so. And Krishna loves to have that position. On the other hand, the atheists do not want to accept Krishna, because the moment they accept Krishna as the supreme, then they have to serve him. So they don't want a reciprocation. They don't want any kind of a relationship with Krishna. So these were the major points. So end of it, as usual, the sense of Bhaktivedanta purpose to the first canto, 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Krishna enters into Dvārakā. Okay, so we have kind of summarized to whatever I could do. We saw the key learnings as to how the Lord deals with different people, how the public is never satiated when they see the Lord. How is he welcomed with so much of pomp and so much of glory? That's something that we should follow. How he deals with his father, with his mothers, how the wives deal with him. Following all the social customs, but still showing all the love that's possible. And finally, how we should take shelter of that Lord who is never affected by material qualities, so that we are also not affected by material qualities. So I'll stop here. If devotees have any questions, any comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat.
Dandavad, Mataji.